Anxiety is a reaction of the body, caused by the mind, to something that has not yet happened, but to which we anticipate a bad outcome. Psychology and Stoicism offer us different explanations of this phenomenon. The correct understanding of both can be complementary. Let's analyze them. According to psychology, the anxiety response is triggered by the interpretation we make of certain circumstances, which are perceived as a threat or challenge. This interpretation is associated with a series of physiological processes, which prepare us to respond to them effectively. These include an increased heart rate, sweating, muscle tension, and so on. Sometimes the threat or challenge requires this bodily reaction. It is, therefore, useful and even necessary. Usually, however, this is not the case, and this response hinders rather than helps. Evolution has provided us with a mechanism to ensure our survival in threatening situations. This mechanism, quite useful in ancient times, is now somewhat outdated. It may help us in some cases, but not in most of them. Most of the challenges we face today require a calm and serene response. The bodily reactions associated with anxiety do not help when taking an exam, attending a job interview, or participating in a negotiation. Nor do they help to cope with the sustained tension that, for some people, involves facing their daily responsibilities, which has a quite detrimental impact on their physical and mental health. This is known as stress. Broadly speaking, this is the explanation offered by the psychology of anxiety and stress. On this basis, different strategies have been proposed to combat them. From a behavioral point of view, among other things, it is recommended to practice relaxation techniques, exercise, meditate, or limit alcohol and caffeine consumption. In therapy, psychologists also resort to gradual exposure, confronting their patients with feared situations in a controlled and safe environment. Cognitive psychology, on the other hand, focuses on identifying and modifying irrational thought patterns. In the case of anxiety, they are those that lead us to identify a situation as threatening, when in fact it is not. To do this, strategies such as recording thoughts, evaluating them based on the evidence we have, and cognitive restructuring are used. The latter consists of replacing distorted thoughts with more realistic and functional ones. All this helps if one commits to practicing it regularly, correctly, and, if necessary, with the help of a professional. Each person is different, and some of these strategies may be more effective than others, depending on each person's situation and circumstances. In Stoicism, we find an explanation of anxiety that has nothing to do with that offered by psychology. The difference between both approaches is due to a fundamental reason. Stoicism is based on metaphysics. Psychology is not. Psychology is based on the scientific method and the theory of evolution. Both things are much later than Stoic philosophy. For the Stoics, anxiety would be a consequence, on the one hand, of not assuming the principles that define this current of thought, and on the other hand, of not living in accordance with the cardinal virtues. According to the dualism of control, there are things that depend on us and others that do not. Simply put, anxiety results from worrying about what does not depend on us. Furthermore, this worry is usually accompanied by not doing the right thing in what is up to us. Anxiety-generating worries are, additionally, a projection into the future, contravening the Stoic principle of living in the present. The present is the only thing that exists, everything else is an illusion of the mind. Given this, the Stoics propose, first, to live in accordance with virtue and reason, and, second, to assume that external circumstances and what others do are not under our control. We must put our energy into what depends on us, thoughts, actions and responses, and calmly accept the inevitable. This is the path to serenity and peace of mind that Stoicism preaches. Epictetus concretizes it in a phrase, which captures the essence of Stoic thought. Do what you must and accept what happens. To facilitate acceptance of the inevitable, some Stoics recommended the practice of negative visualization. This is an exercise that was later recovered by cognitive behavioral therapy. It consists of imagining the worst outcome of a critical situation, thus mentally preparing ourselves to assume it. This reduces the fear and anxiety generated by uncertainty. In addition, it helps to appreciate the present. This practice is complemented by the idea of love of destiny, the acceptance that everything that happens, good or bad, is part of our destiny and contributes to our growth. Accepting destiny reduces anxiety and promotes inner peace. Some went further and recommended not losing sight of the idea of death, memento mori. Remembering that we are going to die allows us to see our worries in perspective, value life more and not worry about trivial matters. All of this reduces anxiety and helps us focus on what really matters. Seneca tells us that if we want to appreciate life, we just have to remember that death is just around the corner. The practice of emotional self-sufficiency, autarky, is also very beneficial in reducing our vulnerability to fluctuations in the environment. The man who needs others to survive is a slave. Marcus Aurelius said so. Inner stability protects us from the vagaries of destiny, thus eliminating fears and insecurities. This self-sufficiency, far from being identified with an arrogant attitude, must be accompanied by the daily practice of gratitude. It is important to be grateful for the little things and value what we have, rather than worrying about what we lack. This brings serenity and inner peace. For Seneca, gratitude is not only the greatest virtue, but the mother of all others. In terms of how to proceed, our conduct must be governed by the four cardinal virtues: wisdom, temperance, justice, and courage. Acting wisely means acting prudently and sensibly. Know at all times what is convenient and what is not. True wisdom leads to a calm and balanced life. For Zeno of Citium, serenity is the natural state of the wise man, who lives in harmony with nature and understands the universal order. In the same sense, Chrysippus assures that the wise man, by understanding the order of the cosmos and his place in it, maintains an imperturbable calm in the face of the ups and downs of life. Temperance is the mastery of impulses, particularly fear and anger. For Seneca, temperance is the basis of serenity, since it teaches us not to be carried away by excess or lack. Although the malicious person can also learn to control his or her impulses, the one who acts with good intentions will be helped by fate, since he or she does so in accordance with reason. Justice is doing the right thing. Acting in accordance with reason and nature brings inner peace. No good man suffers or is burdened, no one groans, no one pales or trembles. These are words of Epictetus. The serenity that comes from acting correctly is a good in itself, regardless of the external result. Marcus Aurelius recommends living correctly with a curious argument, which suggests a certain skepticism. If there are gods and they are just, they will not care how devout you were, but rather that you lived virtuously. If there are no gods and you have lived virtuously, you will live on in the memory of your loved ones. Finally, there is courage, which is inseparable from the other virtues, as it is necessary to put them into practice. Acting with wisdom, temperance, and justice requires doing so with determination and overcoming fears. For Epictetus, the brave man is not the one who does not feel fear, but the one who conquers it. This conquest is associated with the inner peace that comes from acting virtuously. In short, incorporate the four Stoic virtues into your life. Practice them daily in what depends on you. As for the rest, stop worrying, and trust that everything will be fine if you do the right thing. Value life and be grateful for what you have. Focus on the present. Accept whatever comes, good or bad. If it's bad, it will have a purpose, it will help you learn something. Or maybe it will happen to put you back on the right path. All this will allow you to face any situation with serenity and without fear.